All right, guys, welcome back to the Rich Shiels Golf Show podcast, episode 211. In this week's episode, me and Guy sit down with a very, very interesting character. Recently retired, former European Tour player for 20 years, Mr. Robert Rock. Now, Robert has had an incredible career on the European Tour, winning multiple times, but it's a story that isn't like many up-and-coming tour professionals. It's quite unique how he almost fell into the world of professional golf. It's very, very unique. He didn't come from a golf background or golf family. He just kind of found his way. Hard work, dedication. We're going to talk about that in this podcast today. And we touch on Robert's career highlight, beating not only Rory McIlroy, but also beating Tiger Woods. He was paired in the final group with Tiger Woods and beat him at a tour event. We talk about that in this podcast. It's fantastic. Honestly, it's filled with absolute gems. You'll really enjoy it. Whether you are an up-and-coming professional golfer, whether you are someone who finds golf tricky and challenging, you are going to love this podcast. It's a long one as well. So sit back, enjoy this very relaxed but detailed chat with former tour professional, now retired tour professional, Robert Rock. So, Robert, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Pleasure. Sorry it took me so long to organise myself. But
I think it was only an hour delayed reply on Twitter, which I think, a year.
A year? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think I might have messaged you in 2022. But anyway, no, I'm joking. You're a busy man and you're here now. So thank you very much for making the journey and coming up.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I am so excited and intrigued to chat with you and just to dive into your career, what you've achieved over your golf career, and also
that won't take long.
You say that, but yeah, you've had an incredible career, and also what's next. We spoke on the phone last week just as we were setting this podcast up, and I was saying, what is next? And you were like, you know what, I'm probably going to need the weekend to have a little think about that. So save that answer later in the podcast, Robert, because okay. I'm so intrigued to find out what is next for you. But I kind of want to rewind time a little bit and kind of work out, where did it all start? Like, where did your love for golf kick off and where did it start?
Well, I think it probably began from not being good at football, not being in the teams.
Sounds relatable.
Sounds relatable again.
Yeah, so that's most lads' first effort, isn't it? And then I started playing snooker a lot.
Okay.
Loved snooker. Only on a small table, so we're probably talking when I'm 10 or 11. Played a lot of snooker, watched a lot of snooker, got snooker books, tried to learn how to be good at that, and then got decent on a small table.
Right.
And then tried it on a big table when I was that age, and that just demoralised me instantly because it's just so much bigger and so much harder.
It's like going from a mini golf course to a championship golf course.
And I couldn't reach anything either, so everything was just difficult. I thought, this is hard. And then at a similar time, there was a family near me that played golf, and they practiced a bit of golf on the football field that was opposite our house. We had a couple of clubs in the shed that were really old. I forget what they were, but they're dreadful things. I didn't even know the difference at the time. I think we had a 9 and maybe a 4 or a 3, and I didn't know which one was supposed to go further.
Okay.
One of them might have been a putter. I think one of them was a putter, actually.
So you didn't come from a golf family?
No, not at all. No. For not a sporty family either, really. So I just started golf on this field, and then realised it was something outdoors that I could do on my own, which was a bit different to the snooker. And with football, looking back, I probably could have practiced football on my own, but I didn't.
No.
And then golf kind of got me a little bit interested just on a football pitch. And then they took me to the local 9-hole course, which was at a power station. Played that.
And where was this?
This is in Rugeley.
Okay.
Which is where I still live. But they've that course doesn't exist anymore. The power station's gone, and it probably does still loosely exist, but they haven't rebuilt it yet. So went from there, got to a lowish handicap, but that was only on a mostly par threes, a couple of par fours, but mostly par three course. I think then I joined proper club at 13, which I think was the age where that was the only age where you could join.
Right. You couldn't join any earlier.
No.
Seems to have changed a lot that in the recent years, because I remember even when I was growing up, I joined at 8, which was at the time, I was the youngest member by a mile, and they made an exception for me.
Right, because you were so talented.
I was very talented. Yeah. But then, I mean, that was like the late 90s. But yeah, it feels it now. You see juniors who are knee high who are joining golf clubs, which is great to see, but it does feel like it's changed a lot.
Rightly so. I mean, 13, you're busy enough to be a member at a golf club. You're playing football kids are playing football from very young now, aren't they? And they probably were back then. But there was a missing bit of time where we were just playing Muni courses and this course at the power station and just trying to find places that would let you play.
And from that early age, was there talent there? Like, did you shine through, or was that something you really had to work hard on?
No, I wasn't any good. I think my first 18 holes round a proper course, having already played a little bit, was 127. Okay, right, so that's pretty bad.
Well, I think you're going to give a lot of people out there a lot of hope.
Hopefully, yeah. I think golf is just something you can learn. I wasn't not talented at any other sports, really. I'm not one of those kids that would pick up tennis racket and be good at that, or I just wasn't.
You had a bit of a glimpse of snooker, but once you got to the full table, you struggled, and then you got into golf and you worked hard at it. And then when did you kind of really start to notice, or when did other people start to notice? Oh, actually, little Robert's got something going on here. What age were you at that point, or was it still never determined? Like what was that light bulb moment?
I don't think I had one of those. Some of the members at the club that I joined would say that Robert's got a nice looking swing. Yeah, right, it's because I was only tiny. Most kids' swings look all right at that size. Yeah, right. So, and it's from 18, 20 plus handicappers commenting on your swing. So that doesn't really mean much. Although at the time, it probably made me think that, okay, maybe I'm all right at this. But looking back, that meant nothing. It
sounds like such a similar story to mine. Like, I think probably a lot of kids who have a decent swing, and you go and play with a few older members. Oh God, doesn't he swing it well? What the hell? He's going to make it one day. And suddenly that little statement just puts that fire in your belly that just kind of, all right, maybe I've got something,
Yeah, and I think that's nice. But in reality, I think on my junior tour, I got 100 plus kids, right? They all look like they swing good.
Yeah.
Right? When they grow a little bit, those are when the little funny little pieces start showing up.
Yeah.
So.
And then when, obviously you didn't come from a golfing background, you were kind of enjoying golf, but not fully into it just yet. Were you having coaching at that time?
No. Coaching wasn't really a thing I've ever had. When I got a little bit older, I was the pros at the club were really quite helpful.
Yeah.
So the head pro and the assistants, because I was there so much, they would offer little bits, and I'd probably hang around too much in the shop. Right.
As most kids do.
Yeah. trying to get little bits of insight to it, and then I caddied for a couple of the assistant pros in competitions. I think I probably learned from that, but couldn't really afford to have lessons at that point.
And who were your kind of golf heroes then? Were you looking to kind of Jack Nicklaus, Greg Norman, Nick Faldo? Who were kind of the eras that? I
had mountains and mountains of golf magazines. Right, it was the one thing I did do. I think I had every copy of, which would have been Today's Golfer, Golf Monthly, Golf World, Golf Illustrated. There's another one I'm forgetting, but from 88 or 89 through to probably 92 or 3, every copy just stacked up. Yeah, and that's where my coaching come from.
And it sounds, obviously that was quite a similar story with your snooker as well. You had mountains of books. So is that something you've always been kind of a very visual learner from, or a learner from reading through books and kind of learning your golf swing that way?
think it was the only option I had.
Before YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. I'd have been constantly on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I go on YouTube now to learn how to fix stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to do a DIY project or something for my car or whatever. YouTube's brilliant for
yeah.
that. So, but if the content we got now on YouTube was available to me when I was 14 to 18, I think that would have been
You'd have completed
priceless. Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you would have become a tour pro from it, who knows, but would like to think you would have done. But then obviously from that journey then through, being a young kid, enjoying your golf, getting into it, showing a bit more promise, kind of when did you realise, right, this is actually what I want to do as a job?
Once I realised that the assistant pros at the club were, had started the PGA at I think it was probably 5 or less handicap. And I got close to that when I was 14 or 15. I think I was in single figures.
So you throw from starting at 30, remember a club from 13, your handicap came down really quick.
Came down pretty quick, yeah. Playing quite a lot. I remember I got stuck on a 5 handicap for over a year. And I thought, is this it? Right, is this is that my limit?
Yeah.
It felt really difficult. I hadn't broken par. I was at a course where I think there was a scratch or a 1 handicapper, but nobody was really shooting under par around this course very often. Maybe, I think the course record might have been 1 or 2 under, but I hadn't done that. So I thought, have I reached my limit at 5? And it's a bit gutting that, because I'd tried really hard. And then when I finished GCSEs and I think I had a 6-month spell where I played almost every day.
Yeah.
Then I got down quite a bit. But it was when I got to 5, basically, I realised I could start the PGA. And I got a copy of the PGA training manual at the time, which was like 1 folder full. So I thought, I can learn that.
Yeah.
I've got about 100
magazines.
I can learn this one manual, no bother. So that was when I realised that was probably going to be my job in some form, because I figured I could already do that.
Mm-hmm. So you went through your PGA training.
Yeah.
You completed your PGA training.
Yeah.
There's not many PGA pros. I mean, I'm a PGA pro. Yeah. Yourself, Ian Poulter, I believe. There's not many PGA pros that actually made it out onto tour, is there really?
No, because it's tricky. One of the unfortunate parts of the job is you take a job at a golf course thinking, right, I'm in golf now. I'm going to
play golf every day.
And your enthusiasm for golf just drops off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And mine certainly did. I was at a place where I was working, just your normal shop hours, but starting really early because it was a busy place. And then when you finished, you didn't want to hang around there. But you weren't a member anywhere else, so you didn't have any options because other clubs wouldn't take PGA, wouldn't take a pro as a member, so you're stuck, right? You either went out, which we occasionally did with a mate. We would, when our days off coincided, we went away somewhere else to play. But that's not enough, really, is it, to be a really good player? So luckily, I got fired from there, and I became.
I'm guessing we're not asking why.
Yeah, so it's no bother now. It's part of my story. It's actually probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Go on then. How did you get fired?
So as part of my PGA training, the first year's course, the residential at the Belfry, and the PGA officials made the mistake of saying, right, lads, you're allowed in the hotel bar, you're allowed in the Bel Air. Yeah. I've just knocked down.
I know, gutted.
It's a shame, isn't it? You're allowed in the Bel Air, but do not go in the hotel bar afterwards.
Okay.
So that's where we went.
That sounds the wrong way round.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Go in the nightclub that's open till 2 o'clock in the morning, but don't go in the bar.
Don't go in the hotel bar and annoy the residents, basically. But we did. And we got followed out of the hotel to our little rooms at the back, and I stupidly got in my room but then turned the light on, so they knew who I was and what room I was in. And then I'd knock on the door in the morning, and I was still a bit hungover, to be fair, and got kicked off that for a year, which was the end of the job at the time. So why was it the best thing? Took an extra year than it should have done.
And why was that the best thing? Because you could practice more?
Because I got fired from that place and was in a bit of limbo, and then a local driving range took me on as a self-employed golf coach. Yeah. And then that was a bit of a it felt like a brave move at the time, because I'd gone from just having my first job, basically, and getting salaried, to then now I'm self-employed.
Yeah, of course.
Like, what do you do there?
Yeah.
Right. So, all you think about is how do you do your tax, right? And that really scared me to start with, but it's not that scary once you get going, is it?
No,
right?
no. I did I was lucky not to be banned from the PJ as well. I spent far too many nights in the Bel Air nightclub and doing silly things, as you do.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's part of the week.
You are literally there for a week's residential, and on site you've got everything that you'd ever want. You've got bars that are just, I mean, expensive bars, but bars that are full of either corporate dues or staff nights out or whatever else. It's always busy. Yeah. You've then got easy access to a nightclub, which is only small, but often in the week it's way too busy.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that busy on a Tuesday night?
It was a place to go. That's
what I mean. But it was so random because it's in the middle of nowhere. So, and then that's open till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You're supposed to be in lectures at 9 o'clock the next morning, and everyone knows what you're doing. So
it's like a dream golf holiday for an assistant pro.
It really is, isn't it? But you don't really play any golf.
No, you don't get any shots, do you? That week?
You have to sit in lectures and listen. Yeah. But anyway, with you then, I was a PJ Pro in a golf shop. I then took the leap and became a self-employed golf coach at a driving range. And you're right, at first it's like, Christ, I've got to now fill my own diary. I've got to be busier. Every hour then at work, you've got to be making money.
Yeah.
I suppose for you on the plus side then, did it allow you to play more tournaments? Did you then compete a little bit more on PJ events? Kind of, I'm guessing, because at the moment, none of this sounds like you weren't out there winning tournaments. You weren't off plus 3 handicap. It wasn't given to you from what I'm seeing.
No, I got down to scratch at the previous place because it was an easy course, right? Compared to where I've been a member, this place was, because it was a busy, not quite a muni course, but a busy corporate club that was quite flat, quite straightforward, and I got a little bit better. But I got used to shooting under par around that course, but I couldn't do it in assistance events, in pro-ams, or in our Midland Order of Merit events. I had a really good head pro there in Richard O'Hanlon, who was a really, really good money-making pro, right? He had every base. Every base covered. He would teach loads. He always had sponsors. He would always make money in pro-ams. He'd always play well in tournaments. Didn't seem to play that much in practice, right? But he would go out for playing lessons and he would keep himself ticking over like that. And he would take the piss out of me, basically, about, I could hit it further than him at the time, but I couldn't shoot a score that brought in any money, right?
So he was beating you?
He would beat me every time, right? He would shoot 1, 2, 3 under par every time he went out for a pro-am. I would shoot somewhere under 80, right?
Yeah.
Come home with nothing. I'm quite happy that I've had a day out playing my tournament.
But it's cost you money.
It's cost me money, yeah. So he's like, why are you doing it? Right? It doesn't make any sense. So you've got to start shooting under par if you're going to go and do these things. And he was dead right. So that little bit of pressure from him. And then when I went to the driving range to teach, first of all, it was like the panic of making sure I would have enough lessons to actually pay my bills.
Of course.
But then you start to organise your days a bit better. So rather than have 2 or 3 lessons in the morning, then 2 in the evening, or I would try and block my days out where I would teach in certain times and then know that I could fully focus on my practice in the afternoon, because switching between the two was quite difficult, I found, to start with. I can do it now. But when I was learning to be a coach and a player, the thoughts would be racing through my head all the time about what I'd just done, what I'm about to do, and I didn't find that very easy. So I would block days out to play tournaments, block half days out to practice, and I'd either get there really early to practice or I'd stay really late.
So you put the grind in?
I did. I hit well over 1 million balls at that driving range.
Honestly.
Yeah, I would hit. So you never count them up when you do them, do you? But because I just had free.
We don't know, but
just had free access to the big bin of golf balls, right? And a large basket would have probably just over 100 in. I'm just constantly filling it up. What
was your record, you reckon, in a day? Then how many baskets do you think you would have gone through? Double figures?
Oh, easy. Did that most days.
So like 1,000 balls a day comfortably?
I would have thought so, yeah, until I started getting a bit more particular about how I practiced.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I just did loads.
And why? I know it sounds like a daft question now, but it's like, at that point, what was the why? Did you start to think, no, you know what? I am better than just shooting a few under par rounds at Pro-Ams? Or was that still the main motivation? Like, what was the why at that point? Why were you hitting so many golf balls?
That's a good question, actually.
Like, did you have grand ambitions to being a tour pro?
No, not
Like,
at all.
when all of your story so far, up until, at what age were you at the driving range?
I was 19.
So up until about 19.
19, 20-ish, yeah. No, probably 20.
It doesn't, to me, sound like there was any ambition on playing on tour at all. And the fact you played on tour for 19 years of your life.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It doesn't add up, does it?
How did, like, suddenly, because a lot of tour pros, you hear, like, tour pros now, when you speak to them, it's like, they were destined to do that from the age of 12.
Yeah.
Like, they were always going to be tour pros. And if they're not, it's more of a surprise.
Yeah.
Your story sounds like it's the opposite way around. Almost everything geared towards you not really ever being a tour pro. Yet at 19, 20, you're hitting 1,000 golf balls a day to maybe pick up a bit of prize money in Pro-Ams.
Yeah.
That was really the main motivation.
I wanted golf to be my job. I wanted it to pay me enough money so that it was actually a legitimate job and I could carry on doing it.
I think you achieved that, right?
In the end, it was all right. But at that point, all I wanted was, like, you want to be able to buy a house.
Yeah.
So I needed to somehow get enough money for a deposit and know that I could actually pay and contribute to my monthly bills. I wanted a car. I didn't have, never really been into that never really into earning a lot of money, but I just wanted that to be my job. But I think I was just trying to get better and just make sure that when I did go and play that once or twice a week in a Pro-Am, that I would come back with the 200, 300, 400 quid check. Because the first place was probably 400 or 500 quid in each of them. To have a day off coaching,
of course,
and to spend some money going there and doing it, you've got to come back with 100 quid, otherwise you might as well not bother.
I suppose with what you're saying, though, it kind of sounds like it's almost the more natural, organic way of getting there, because you see these kids now, and it's the path that most of these guys take. You go to college in America, they're playing these tournaments from being so small, it's so competitive, so serious. You see a lot of the pushy parents on the sidelines and stuff, and it's like Rick said, it's all this destination to get into the tour. But what you've done is actually almost like the natural way of just getting better at golf and then getting to where you got to. It's almost a simple way, but then it almost seems that
it's probably what would have happened back in the day.
Yeah,
it is really, because it wasn't about winning big competitions for me, because I wasn't playing in them. Right, I didn't get to play I got to play in some of the, like, English boys stuff. I remember playing the McGregor Trophy and the Carris Trophy, but I think I played the British boys once, but I didn't play the English Amateur or the British Amateur or anything like that, because I wasn't good enough to get in those. But you bear in mind, when I played in the boys' championships, I'm getting beat by Justin Rose, Paul Casey, Luke Donald, Simon Dyson, who else? Like, there was nearly a dozen guys that
now are household names.
Were way better than me, but I didn't know some of those were going to be world number ones.
Of course,
right? I just knew that they were better than me, and I'm just playing down the road.
Yeah.
And then you try and sort of expand that out to a world basis. You think, I'm nowhere here, right? So this is not realistic. These guys are just miles better than me, so I've got a lot of catching up to do. And I just
kept beating balls.
Yeah, I wrote that part off, really, and just thought, let's just see how good I can get, and hopefully I can win some money.
Was part of that as well, not only to win money to pay mortgages, but like you almost thought as a coach, it looked good if you were doing okay in these Pro-Ams. Would that then get you more clients as well?
Absolutely, that's something I was taught early on, that playing golf well as a golf pro is the best thing you can do, right? And I still believe that, and I still practice and play enough to keep my game ticking over, so that if I do get invited to something and I do want to go and play, I can still shoot proper score.
Yeah, I
still want to be able to hit the ball like people expect me to hit the ball. I don't want to be a disappointment.
That's and it's funny because when I was an assistant pro working in a pro shop, I was kind of off 3-4 handicap and did my PGA training, this, that, and the other. I don't ever think in hindsight now, when I even just listened to your story, I never probably had that real. Never had a head pro I worked under who was competitive at local events.
Yes. Yeah.
I always worked for golf professionals who earned a lot of money coaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all they did.
Yeah.
So even when I first moved to the driving range, my mindset, and all the pros at the driving range, nobody played professional golf.
Yeah.
We coached 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that was almost the world I lived in. I'm not saying it was right or wrong.
Does it depend on what type of client you're after, though? I guess if you're working at Trafford Golf Centre and you're looking for someone who's just never hit a golf ball, they would. You're off 4 or turn pro 4, so they're amazing. But if you're looking at coaching guys who are looking at getting on tour,
potentially. But my other thing was, if I don't play in these tournaments, they actually don't know how good or bad I am.
Yeah.
In some sense.
Yeah.
Like,
what was your last score? To know?
A lot of people don't look though. That these tournaments you're playing in, they aren't big tournaments, right? They don't have any real following, so no one knows whether you're doing any good or not.
You know, if I went and played in the tour, it was like almost me playing in tournaments, not practicing, not hitting 1,000 golf balls a day, but coaching 12 hours a day. I was in the grind of coaching. Like, I loved all of that side of things. For me, I remember seeing on social media, I won't name names, but I remember seeing a pro who was trying to make it on tour, and they picked up a check at some event, some local event, and they put the picture on Facebook of this check that they were holding, and I was looking at it going, I made more than that before lunch.
Yeah.
So I'd coached 8 hours before lunch.
Yeah,
I've made more money than that.
Yeah.
And you've had to go out and play 3 rounds of really good golf to win that money. So certainly my mindset was very different in that. But I do think I'm seeing a lot of similarities, and it's fascinating. I'm loving this chat. It's almost like I think if there was a pushy pro that was like, no, you've got to shoot. If you're going to work for me, you've got to go out there and shoot bloody 60s.
He embarrassed me into it.
Yeah.
We have a random question for you, both of you. Then, with you obviously both being golf coaches. I've been listening recently to the Alan Shipnutt book, the Phil Mickelson book, and how as a child growing up, if Mickelson had a short game area in his backyard and would spend all day chipping, hitting balls over the house, and people often say Mickelson has got the best natural short game, but actually it's been taught, it's been hit over millions of balls. And with what you're saying as well, Robert, you've probably literally hit millions of golf balls, and off the back of that, I've had a very, very successful career. Might seem a silly question, but is anybody naturally talented at golf? Is it ever actually a thing? Or is everybody actually, who we say that about, it's a little bit of a cop-out? Like Tiger was hitting golf balls before he could almost walk. So is Tiger naturally good at golf? Is anybody natural?
I'll come in very quickly before Robert does here. I remember seeing a few students that would come in through the door, and I'd say to them, do you play much golf? And like, no, I've never played golf ever in my life. And it's like, all right, great. Do you play other sports? Oh yeah, I play in the local football team. I do this, I do that, and do the other. And you're, oh, great. And you could just tell by the way they move the body or whatever, and you'd get them hitting a few shots. And you literally ask the question again and go, you've never played golf in your life? And they go, no. And they're ripping 7 irons, 170 yards and dead straight. And the swing just looks like it's been taught from 5 years old. I'm not saying that going to continue to go out on the golf course and shoot under par, but I've seen in my coaching experience, people who are just naturally able to move a golf club. On the flip side, I've also seen people who are naturally unable at all to move a golf club in any manner whatsoever, and that's that is just what you see. You're going, why is your arm doing that movement? I've never seen that before. I don't know if you've seen it a bit more either in coaching or out on tour. I bet you've seen golfers, and you'll experience this on tour. I bet there's guys out there who are grinding and hitting thousands of golf balls like yourself, like VJ Singh, like Alex Noren and people like that. I bet you see other players who hardly hit any practice balls at all and can still compete.
Yeah, I think there's extremes for both, but like you say, I've seen both in a beginner environment where golf seems really, really difficult, complicated to some people, and it is, and then some that just hit the ball on their first go, and you think you'd be all right if you just played, right? Maybe don't need too many lessons off me, just go and learn how to play golf. And then when you get to the tour, or any high level competition, some people are really talented for the competition part of it, right? Some have just got a knack of competing where it's just they desperately need to win and have to win. I never had that part. I wish I had that.
Can that be taught?
I don't think so.
No,
because I think you need that.
Was part of that then because you were almost, I don't want to say content, because obviously you had an unbelievable career, but because you probably could never believe those days hitting balls in the range that you would be a tour pro in the European Tour for so long and playing in major championships, were you almost happy to be there in a sense, whereas someone like a Tiger?
Oh, absolutely. I'd overachieved getting on there, right? And then had to readjust and try and strive for more just to make sure I stayed there. Whereas if you're really good at 14 or 15 or younger than that, and you're used to winning national competitions, you've got a right to start to think that you're brilliant at golf, right? And you shouldn't get beat by many people. I never had that. I only started to feel like that once I realised I'd got my game really good, and people were watching me at balls on the range sometimes, and sometimes my fellow pros were watching me, and I thought, right, I need to start making something of this, because otherwise I've wasted my effort.
But what's unique with your story as well, it's probably, there'll be loads of guys out there who have grown up being decent, gone and been a pro at a range, hit a lot of balls, got a tour card for a year and then fell off the tour because they couldn't make any money. But your story is different in the sense that you were there for 19, 20 years with wins as well and playing in major championships. There must have been something in you that was driving you to keep getting better, because you wouldn't have stayed at that level, surely.
No, I was weird in a way that I overachieved to get on there, and I surprised myself by getting on the tour, because I didn't do it through the tour school or the challenge tour, which was a bit random, because like people that get their cards from invites like I did are generally Tiger Woods or Sergio or Rory or like the superstars that get invited from playing either high-ranking amateur events or coming out of American colleges or something,
or well connected, potentially with sponsors,
and then
etc.
they make use of that because they're actually too good, and they getting a card out of 5 or 6 events isn't that hard if you're that good, right? You should end up doing that. So it's kind of a natural progression. If you're, I mean, Tiger got his status up by winning in his first few events, didn't he? And I think Rory, I forget how Rory did it, but it was similar, right? But I got my opportunity through winning Pro-Ams, right? And winning the Order of Merit events that we had in the Midlands, and that, as a courtesy to PGA pros, offered invites into the tour events that came to your region, right? Which doesn't really stand anymore, because the places are in demand too much, and just the golf pro market is full up with pros wanting to play in tournaments, where I got invites and I did well and I got on the tour, but I wasn't quite good enough because I hadn't played any 4-round tournaments.
You play Pro-Ams?
I play Pro-Ams, right? I was good at playing a different course every day.
Good at playing three other amateurs.
I was used to it. I was a pro in my sense, but as far as a touring pro's sense, I was a real beginner, and I didn't know how to put 4 rounds together.
Because not only do you have to do 4 rounds, you're now playing with, serious note, you're actually playing with tour professionals in every group, where obviously your Pro-Am years, were you always with the same amateur 3s, or did you just mix it around?
No, for a lot of the time I was with a group that were really good to me, actually. They entered lots of these Pro-Ams, but they had a squad of friends that they rotated and played, and all they wanted of me, and it was genius in a way, right? Because they had a squad of like 5 or 6 players. Every man's job was to make 5 birdies.
Okay.
Right, either net birdies or me to make 5 birdies. Right, they didn't care what I shot. They were not interested.
No, because your individual score doesn't matter.
Make any difference to them. No, they don't care. They don't know sometimes, right? They wanted every man on the squad to contribute 5 net birdies.
Right.
And they were prepared to let me do my thing and let me walk on my own and do whatever I wanted to do. As long as I got my 5 birdies, right?
Oh my God.
And if one of their mates didn't, they were subbed.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So it was pretty brilliant. It was tough. It was brilliant though, because we won loads of them. And people thought we were, well, I'm assuming people thought we were sort of a bit of a dodgy team, but it was just good golf. They were decent handicappers, and I shot some good scores.
And you played pretty well.
And I played pretty well.
But surely as well, going from what I imagine are fairly local events to then travelling around Europe, there's another massive step up there as well.
Yeah.
That was difficult. I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Like suddenly you're booking your own flights, I'm guessing. Or were you signed with the management team then?
No, not at the start. I had a friend that was helping me book stuff, and he would come with me sometimes. One of the pros, one of the assistant pros that I got on with, he was obviously now it was then a head pro, but he took time off and came to caddy for me.
Right.
He caddied for me during my invites where we did well.
So I'm guessing you didn't have a caddy for pro-ams, did you?
No, it's trolley.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something quite romantic about it.
Of course
They're
there
like
is.
pulling your trolley. And
So we learned what the caddy's involvement was, which is massive, right?
You learned that in a real life situation, almost in tournaments.
Yeah, we were finding out our pitfalls as we're going round and realising what the great players and caddies are doing. I didn't even have a set of yardages that I knew that I hit my irons, right, until...
You need to make a bloody film about this.
Is it 2003 now we're talking? Was that your first
Yeah,
proper
2003.
This could be the next Rocky film.
Rocky?
Rocky, but with
it sounds like it's an odd story, isn't it? But my first year in 2003 was I played at the Belfry, I played at Wentworth, I played at Celtic Manor, I played the Forest of Arden, right? These were places I knew, apart from Wentworth. I didn't know Wentworth, but Wentworth have always been cool with me. And when I found out I was playing Wentworth in the PGA, I was allowed to go for a practice round way beforehand. So I did my homework for these events, right? I know, looking back, I was really proud I did that. I mean, even to the point where even though I've been to the Belfry loads of times and the Forest of Arden, but I plotted different routes so that I wouldn't panic.
Wow.
On the week of the tour, just in case it was busy and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was trying to find the place in time. Which
do you mean routes to get to the golf course?
Routes to get there, yeah.
Oh wow!
Right. Now, have you seen this morning? I'm always early, right?
It was an hour early this morning.
I am never, ever, ever late. I've never missed.
This is pre-sat-nav days as well, wasn't it?
So never missed a flight. Tea time, nothing, and there's no...
It's just like chalk and cheese.
If I'm not there,
I'm so different to
there's
that.
something seriously wrong if I'm not there.
Wow.
Right.
But you... sorry, go on. So you had a good year as well, though. The first year, financially and stuff, was a strong year.
That was a surprise, but looking back, I prepared well. There were courses I knew, and I just drove the ball really, really good for 2 months. I was hitting every drive as hard as I could, right? And most of them went straight.
And at this point, you're out on tour. Had the coaching taken a complete backseat, or were you still even picking up a bit of coaching?
Still doing little bits, but in the 6 months leading up to that, a couple of guys gave me a bit of money just to practice, which I'll forever be in debt for. Not loads, but enough that it ticked off the need to do the lessons.
A safety net for you.
Yeah, so I just practiced because I'd got 2 starts the year before, but I failed. I missed the cut in both, but I got close. I double bogeyed my last hole at the Belfry to miss the cut by 2. I never forget that. It was devastating.
You were in the water?
I finished on the 9th hole.
Oh, right.
Right. Drove it down the middle of the fairway.
Still a tough hole,
I had a wedge into the green right on the 9th. I was in the middle of the fairway, and I needed a par. To make the cut. And as my iron play or wedge play was at the time, I caught it a little bit squeezy. It come up short in the front bunker and plugged. Double bogeyed it, and that was it. Oh. Yeah. But that gave me hope because
you were almost there.
Yeah, I thought I was almost
You almost
there.
made money.
Almost made money in a situation where I didn't know what I was doing, and I thought, give me another year at this, I'll be able to come back to this event next year and make some money.
Mate, that's ridiculous, isn't it? So then through that journey from 2003, that's when you joined the tour, wasn't it? And then through a period then of kind of 9 years until we build up to 2012, you'd had success at the Irish Open. Yeah, you've had a lot of succce at the Irish Open.
The Irish Open has been brilliant to me. Not fully sure why, but it's a tournament that's... I don't know, I think I've enjoyed the courses that we go to. The sort of golfing lifestyle in Ireland's pretty cool, isn't it?
TV's just gone off, Matt.
Right, you play your golf, have a few beers afterwards, right? Everyone's sort of just loving golf.
Happy. Yeah, they love golf, obviously.
They love golf, and the Irish Open's a tournament I watched all the time. Watched Nick Faldo win it, watched Seve playing it. I just watched that one a lot. So it was, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to play well in it. It just happened to work out that way for me.
So in 2009, you were in a playoff with amateur at the time, Shane Lowry, right?
Yeah.
Shane pipped you to the post.
Yeah, Shane beat me there. That was an amazing week. That was my first. It was actually my first tournament from 2003. I lost my card in 2004. I played 31 tournaments, and my best finish in an event that year was 21st in the Irish Open. Right that course that I went back to when I lost to Shane.
Right.
That was the best event I had in a whole year. Right, traveling all over the world. I was just battling and battling. Realizing my game, my driving was still good. My iron play was terrible. My putting was even worse. My chipping was kind of non-existent. Right, it was just a functional chip shot that I had, but I wasn't like duffing them, but I just wasn't any good at it.
Would you put this down to the fact that you spent a lot of time beating balls at a driving range?
Yeah, I used to hit drivers and 5 irons, right, and I hit 50-yard wedge shots.
Yeah.
That's all I needed
to assign.
That's all I needed to do to make money in the region, right? Because I drove it really well. I faced 50-yard pitch shots all the time on short par 4s and par 5s. And if I could do both of those reasonably well, I shot under par. It was easy. That doesn't work on the tour, right? Players are a lot better than that. So I remember in 2004, I played with Bradley Dredge, right, in Qatar, on a windy day, on the course that we always play the Qatar Masters at. And he hit every iron shot straight at the flag, right? And I was like, I can't do that. I've never seen anyone do that before.
You hitting shots with shape?
I kept pushing and pulling iron shots, right?
Yeah. You're finding the green.
I'd hit a lot of greens, right? But I'd never look like I'm knocking flags down. I thought, I've got to learn to do that because my putting's not great. And I couldn't see a way that I would become a really great putter. And that's one thing I'm actually quite pleased of, that I was right. Because I spent the next 20 years trying to putt as well, and I had very, very little success with the putter. I got good enough just to hole out putts and just to keep my game ticking over and keep my scores ticking over. But in 20 years and 400 and something tournaments, I can probably tell you the days where I putted well.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So let's say when you were in your peak on tour,
yeah,
just for listeners, and obviously when you're on tour, you don't have a handicap. But what handicap would you have said you were playing to at that time?
I've since joined clubs recently and started to play, and if I don't shoot 5 or 6 under par around a normal course, I'm disappointed.
So let's say you're off plus 6 or 7.
Something like that, I would imagine, yeah.
What, just quick snapshot, and this is kind of just guesswork. Yeah. What handicap would you have put on your driving ability?
Most of that.
So plus 6, plus 7?
At the start, yeah. Not now.
Iron play?
Scratch, maybe.
Wedges into greens, some pitching?
The 50-yard shot was okay. Everything else was good, right? So that would have evened himself out to probably been over. But I would have put in 1 or 2, something like that.
Chipping?
Similar 1 or 2.
And then putting?
5.
5 handicap?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Well,
I've played with some 5 handicaps and I don't think they would argue with me. I was very, very good at short putts, though.
So what, inside 6 feet?
6 feet, I made myself good at those. Yeah. I couldn't afford to miss any of them.
Well, you can't.
Didn't drain many monsters.
But not on the speed, the green speed you're playing at. You can't miss those 6-footers.
But I never made anything from the 10-foot to the 30-foot mark. And I mean, probably not supposed to hold 30 foot, but then 10-foot to 15 to 20-foot. 0.
And they're what you see when people are on these mad runs. They're the ones that just seem to just
hold them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to fast forward a little bit in time and then come back. 'Cause in 2019, again at the Irish Open, you had a putt on the last green 4 of 59.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, That's one of the days, right?
And that is a day where you hold a monster on 16, and a monster on 17.
17 was absolutely ridiculous putt. Probably one of the longest, stupidest putts I ever hold. I was putting well that day. It was one of those rounds that kind of I played okay. Right,
You have like 11 threes or something.
Yeah, it was
that
by nowhere near the best I've ever hit the ball. Not even close. But it was just an all right tee to green day. That was. I remember playing with Grant Forrest, and he was laughing at me on the way around because I'd moaned a lot about my putting right in the time, and I just kept holding just a few putts to keep the round ticking over. I remember getting through 10, 11 holes in 5 under-ish, something like that. So it was going to be a good day. I was quite happy scoring nice. On the Saturday, I moved up the leaderboard a little bit. And then, around 12, 13, 14, 15, I just kept holding those 10, 15 footers. Just kept going in. And then to the 17th, I hit a terrible iron shot. It was a 7 iron. It was it was an awful shot.
And a short left, wasn't it? A bit?
Yeah, it was dreadful. Right, I was trying to hold it into a right to left wind, and I hit it too soft, and I think I mishit it. It was crap. Right, and finished on the front of this green. I was like, oh no, because I knew what the green was like. The green's got one of those big lumps in the middle of it, right, that separates all the portions of the green. I'm like, I've got to put right over that.
So a 2-putt here is just
a
win.
Definite 3-putt for me, that is. There's no question, right? I'm thinking, I've just ruined my day here. I'm going to 3-putt that. Last par 5. Let's just get this over with now, right? Any chance of a great round over.
Are these true, the thoughts you're having?
Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as I see a ball land on the front of the green and I know I've got either a tier to go up or some sort of strange little mound or over a corner of a bunker, there's little mounds off the side. Anything like that, instantly I'm like, I'm not good at these.
And what would you put that down to?
I don't see it.
Right.
Don't see it.
I'm guessing you've had a lot of help with that as well.
Yeah. But if you can't see it, you can't see it, right? So most of the time, my caddies in the last, I don't know, from when Jamie Lane started caddy for me, which is around 18, 19, I think. Was it then? No, 2008 or 9.
Well, 9 was when you
was 9 the
lost
Irish,
to Shane Lowry.
So it's just before that Jamie started. He would lie down on the green and read all the putts for me and line my putter up.
So on the 17th, you had this one over the hill, far away.
Yeah. So I'd had a few lessons, actually, putting lessons off Mike Kansky. And I was measuring he told me my stroke had a bit too much delay in the transition, right? And it was having a little bit of too much lag and the club head actually wasn't coming through sharp enough.
So that's Phil Kenyon's kind of right-hand man, isn't it?
So between us, we came up with this sort of, and a little bit of me, thought I'm going to measure my length of backswing to know when it's got to stop. And then I'm going to just send it through. Right. So it was really quite measured and deliberate. And then this putt was massive. I forget how long it was, but it was basically from the front to almost the back of the green across this little lump.
It was 60, 70 foot,
yeah,
wasn't it?
So I don't know.
If not more.
I don't know what length of backswing this needs to be, right?
I was going to
right. So I literally just hit it, trying to get it over the top of it, because it had to run over the top of this lump. And it went straight over the middle of it. Couldn't believe it. And then as soon as it went over it and started to dive to the left, I'm like, oh no, that's actually in. That's just the luckiest putt ever, because it was just a hit and hope that because I was expecting to miss either side of this mound and leave myself 15, 20 foot for a par, which I thought I'd probably miss. And it went right plumb through the middle of it. I thought, well, that's in now.
And that round you shot 60?
I shot 60, yeah.
10 under par and 6 par 70. When you look back at that round or even post, obviously you're excited, I'm sure. Did you feel like you'd left shots out there as well still? Did you have a bogey on the front 9?
I might have done. I'm terrible at remembering.
I'm sure
rounds.
you had a bogey on the front 9. I was doing a little bit of research this weekend.
I might have done. You're right. I might have done early on in the front 9, but I didn't hit the ball that well that day. That's what I don't look back at that. I look at that as one of the rounds where I got the most out of it, because my putting was one of those days where the putting just actually worked.
I'm just watching the putt now as we speak.
It's absolutely massive.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
No, it's a stupid putt. I remember getting to the last green.
We'll put it on the YouTube video version.
I rushed to my drive on the last, and then my second shot on the last. Probably did almost what I wanted. I was just on the edge of the green.
Yeah.
It was a 2-iron off
just
a side or
bunker.
lie. Yes, it was quite a good shot. I was hoping for better, right? I wanted to get it in that sort of 20-foot zone, so a real proper chance shooting 59. But it was on the edge of the green. But I just holed this monster putt, so I thought,
you can't do it again.
Any putt's possible, right? And I went to my ball too quick, and I forgot that Grant was in the bunker. And I think if I'd have just had a little bit more, you don't get too many experiences to try and shoot 59, but if I think I'd maybe have just chilled a little bit, and then, because I was just in a rush to hit it.
Right, yeah, because you wanted to get it done.
I wanted to hit it, but when I first got to it, I saw a bit of a line, and then had to go back out the way.
Because Grant needed to hit his shot.
And I shouldn't have done that. I should have just waited, gone in and hit it, and that probably had a better chance.
It wasn't an easy putt. It
was a reasonable effort.
You could have had 10 attempts and you might have held it once.
Yeah, no, it was a 60. It wasn't really a 59 chance.
Just jumping back for one sec, one of the questions I had, I'm sure we'll cover it in more depth, but when you obviously in 2009, the playoff with Shane Lowry, who was obviously an amateur, What was it like going into a playoff, knowing that you were going to pick up the first place cash? Did it still keep that drive to win the tournament, or deep down thinking, well, I'm going to get the money? How did that feel? How did you motivate yourself?
And did you know that going into the playoff?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was
absolutely.
I knew
playing.
I knew that. That tournament was the first time I'd actually teed it up in an event, having already got my card secured for the following year.
Right.
So I think I'd finished second in Italy the week before, playing some really nice golf, and I'm assuming we were in June or July. But every year up to that, it took right till the death to keep my card, and those years were horrible because just when tournaments just finished this past few weeks, and people's cards are on the line, and it's that part of golf is hard, right? That's your character building as far as a tour pro is concerned. And I got through a few of those years, luckily on the right side, having to make a couple of cuts right at the end, which come down to holding a 6-foot putt or birdie in the last when you don't really know what you're doing. Right, those moments are hard, and every pro's got sympathy for fellas doing that because it's difficult. But that Irish Open was the first time I'd turned up at a tournament, other than my first few events, which were bonus events. That was the first time I turned up with that pressure on, and I played just like a different fella because I was playing really good from the previous week, but then all that pressure was. Right. So I didn't.
You weren't thinking about where do I have to place to get my card. You were thinking just go out and
just enjoy playing. Yeah, I'm playing good. Just enjoy playing golf, right? And actually, I wouldn't have cared if I didn't play it any good that week because that pressure was from 5 years. Right, it's a lot. And I didn't realise how much every round of golf I was putting myself under that sort of pressure when I played.
I bet.
And when it was lifted, I was like, I'm back to playing golf again. Just playing golf for the fun of it. Just made a bit of money last week, so money wasn't the primary objective for the week. I was sharing with a mate, and we just had a bit of a chilled out week.
And you're in Ireland?
And in Ireland, yeah. A few beers. Yeah. And I got luck of the draw as well, right? Because one of the days on, I think it must have been Friday, was horrendous. And I was on the right side of that.
Oh, that was good. That was good. And you let local Shane Lowry win.
Yes.
But you
that
took
turned out all right at the end.
It was all right for him, wasn't it?
Turned out
what was
all
that
right.
like though then in that playoff, knowing, right, I'm going into this playoff with Shane Lowry, obviously amateur Irish.
Yeah. But at the time, you wouldn't have. Was he a big deal? Was he a big name? You wouldn't have known anything about him, would you?
I knew him and Rory were mates. And I think I'd already played with Rory. I think I played with Rory in his first ever pro event. Why they paired him with me, I don't know. But I remember playing with Rory as an amateur.
Just alphabetical order.
Probably, yeah.
Rory and Robert.
But were you in that playoff thinking, I want to win this, I want to pick up that trophy? I guess obviously there's a part of that.
Well, I played with Shane Saturday and the Sunday. So the Saturday was the eye-opener because everyone was on the tee cheering him on, and I thought, well, we'll see what he's made of here.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. So there was no doubts in my mind that it was going to be a difficult weekend because there was a packed crowd all supporting him. I got booed a lot on the Sunday. That I'd never experienced.
Different?
Yeah, I'd never experienced that before, and I coped with that all right. To be fair, actually, because I understood.
It's not personal.
I understood the story,
yeah.
And it was a cool story, right? If I'd have been watching on TV, and I remember watching. Whenever there was an amateur leading a pro event, I always watched that and thought, this is cool, right?
Really cool.
Hope he wins
in the home country.
Yeah, so it was. I totally got it, but it was not nice.
So you let him win.
Let him win. I thought I'll have the money. Right?
Everyone's happy.
But to answer your original question, yeah, I was very aware because it was 500,000 for the first prize, and I got nowhere near that sort of money in any event. I think I don't know what my biggest check might have been. Probably just about 100, which is still amazing.
Yeah,
more than ever thought I'd ever win playing golf. But over the last few holes, when it was down to me, Johan Edfors and Shane all in the same group, I knew I just needed to beat Johan to make sure that money was going to be mine. Now, I regret it now because the top players played a win.
Yeah.
I was playing to win the money as well. And when it's a life-changing amount of money.
But I feel like your mindset, you've not gone into this thinking, expected to win.
No.
Everything that it's almost like I've overachieved already.
Yeah.
Like anything after this point is a bit of a bonus.
Looking back, that was probably the best golf I've ever played.
Really?
Should have won that tournament. Should have won it.
Does that bother you now?
Yeah. Does now, because money comes and goes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Trophies and names.
But it's easy though in hindsight, isn't it? Like you said at the time, it is literally life-changing money.
Of course it is.
And you got that, and it's a big
did make
moment.
my life a bit easier.
And what were you like? Were you early 30s at that point? 92. Sorry, 2019. Sorry, get my dates wrong.
14 years ago.
2009. I'm 32.
Yeah. So you are still thinking with money and how can I be secure and how can
you don't know how long because bear in mind the week before is the first time I've ever locked up my tour card mid-season.
Yeah.
You don't know how long you're doing the job for.
Question then, this isn't something I want to get too much in the weeds of, but the kind of player you were around that time and obviously, making cuts and money and keeping your cards was a big thing. Would you have been, if like Liv was around back then, those days, they'd approach you, would that something that would have actually got you excited, or would you have been very much a case of I want to stay on the European tour and then the legacy kind of thing? Can you see why players have got tempted by that guaranteed cash?
Absolutely, yeah. Golf's hard, right? I think through respect for how good everyone is and how vulnerable you are as a golf pro in the decisions that you make, it's really hard to make money. It's really hard to make money that's going to last you enough for a lifetime, right? I retired last year, and you still have doubts whether you've got enough that's going to last you, right? And you panic about what you do. So if somebody approaches you with a significant amount of money, right? If somebody had probably offered me that amount at the start of that Irish Open week, I'd have probably gone, yeah. Where do you want me to sign?
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm out, yeah.
But I think the reason I asked you that question is just because when we see a lot of, as obviously we've discussed it to length, the pros of Liv, the cons of Liv, and vice versa, but we so often think of Rory being a spokesperson for, and he's done a great job of that, by the way, for the PJ Tour, but someone like Rory's career is set. He could never have to swing a club again. He's playing now, isn't he, for legacy?
Yeah.
Players like yourself who had great years, but were also very conscious of keeping the card and providing. That must be where it's more tempting for these guys, surely.
Yeah. Because if you're playing down in those reaches of pro golf, right, it's about either prolonging your career so you can keep earning the money and keep doing that job. Because it's golf. Being a golf pro is a great job, right? So if somebody gives you a bit of added security as well, it's easier to enjoy your job.
How obviously everyone listening and watching now is a golf fan of some description, hence why they're listening and watching. And we see golf as a hobby and we love it, etc. But at what point does it actually feel like a job being a tour professional? 'Cause I'm guessing it does. There's so much travel. It's obviously strenuous. It's long days. It's pressure. Holding a 6-foot putt to pay the mortgage is so much more strenuous than hitting a 6-foot putt to beat your friend. Does it feel like an actual job, or do you always go back to that being a 13-year-old kid thinking I can't believe I'm making a living from this? Or is it a bit of both?
I don't think I've ever quite lost the perspective on what a proper real job is, right? So it's never felt like I'm out there doing hard graft every single day, right? In a job that you don't like. That's what a lot of people face, isn't it?
Of course it is.
So I've never felt like that. I've quite often felt this is really hard and it might be too much for me because this is difficult, and the pressure and the stresses you put on yourself trying to prolong that and trying to get the best out of yourself is quite demanding sometimes, and it pushes you to think, well, have I got this right? Can I keep doing this? Can I keep battering my head against the wall, getting nowhere? And whilst not making a lot of money, right? So for those years from 2004 to 2009, when I'm just keeping my card, I'm probably only clearing 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
But I'm traveling almost every week.
Yeah.
And I am constantly hitting balls and constantly getting myself into a state about my game and not being content or happy and going to tournaments feeling underprepared and not good enough.
Well, you're living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, I didn't mind that too much. I didn't mind that. That was part of the job, and travelling's quite nice, even though...
Is your stool sinking again?
I don't know. Maybe I'm slouching a bit.
No, it's all right. I'm worried that you're going to be... We've got a sinking stool somewhere in the studio. But also you've got the pressure of, obviously, you've got to pay for your caddy, you've got to pay for management company.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff coming in and out every week that sometimes you just try and not look at. Hope that you've got enough in there to tick over. And my first few events, as we talked about earlier, because they were local and I did okay, I had a bit of money in the bank to start with. I had none before. You have to pay an affiliation tour membership when you play on invites and you want your money to count for the tour, right? So if you want your money to stay on the money list at the end of the year and you're playing on invites, you have to pay an affiliation fee. Right, so that was $2,000 when I started, which I didn't have. So I put that on a credit card, just as a punt, because I thought...
That's before the event even starts?
Before your first shot.
Oh, right, wow.
Yeah, so you put... The previous year I didn't do it because I was only playing 2. But that particular year I knew I was going to be playing 3, maybe 4. And I wanted just to see at the end, like... Imagine 20 years down the line and I'm the pro that says, I played on tour once, right? But there's no evidence of it because they've scrapped my name off the list.
Oh my God.
Right, so I thought,
can't you got to pay for that?
I'm going to pay to keep my money on the list so I know where I stood that year. Even if it was last, I'd still be on there.
So if you don't make any money but you finish last, it would still keep the record as such?
I don't know, possibly.
Right.
Yeah. But I just wanted to say that I finished 200th or 250th or wherever I finished. But if you want your money to count and to actually be able to win your tour card, I think you have to have paid that money.
Wow. So you're backing yourself then, I guess?
You're backing yourself a bit, yeah.
Wow.
But then I won some money, so I had a bit of money behind me for the following year, which I probably spent a lot of, but I always had that little bit in the bank to start my European tour career.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets that lucky, maybe.
No.
Some start with 5 or 10 grand, which can go in the first
Of course it can.
fortnight, right? And then you're under more pressure.
I really want to dive into 2012.
Okay.
Possibly, you might correct me.
Yeah.
Highlight of your career?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
So you won the HSBC Abu Dhabi Championship.
Yeah.
Playing in the final round with no other than Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
You were leading, you were level pegging going into the final round. And at the end of it, you beat Tiger and Rory, which not many golfers in the world can say they have ever done.
No.
Talk us through it. First off, is it your actual highlight of your career?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. It was worth all the hitting balls off mats in the crappy days as a young golf pro. It was worth all the hard years in between 2004 and 2009 before I actually felt like I turned into a proper tour pro. I don't feel I got enough out of the effort I put in up until that point, and then I thought, well, golf's gifted me just something massive back in return, and I've got to just say thanks very much.
And when you were playing that final round with Tiger, how intimidated were you? Were you worried, or were you going into it with this kind of happy-go-lucky that I shouldn't really be here, but I kind of am here mentality that you've kind of had throughout your career?
I was fully aware of how other pros like me have performed when they've played with Tiger. I was intrigued as to why that was. Fully expecting not a great performance on my part, but I was expecting to learn something about why that is. I'd met Tiger the previous day, which helped a little bit. We had a mutual friend in Sean Foley at the time.
Yeah.
I'd spoke to Sean quite a lot beforehand, not before the round, but in the months before. And just so happens that I ended up being paired with Tiger for the Sunday. But Tiger had come over and said hello on the Saturday, which if he hadn't have done, that would have probably made the day harder. So we chatted a little bit.
Is that very un-Tiger thing to do?
Yes, I was really surprised. I think he was going through more of his another swing change at the time, or I think he'd already done that with Sean actually, because I think he ended up winning 4 or 5 times that year. But he was Sean's philosophy and mine on golf at the time were pretty similar, I think. So I don't know. He knew who I was anyway, which is pretty cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, that surprised the hell out of me. He actually knew who I was. So that was nice. And then during the final round, I wasn't expecting anything other than him to fully be in game mode. It blanked me all the way around. I expected him to, but he didn't. I thought he would do, but he didn't. And I thought, worst case, I'm just going to have a front row seat watching Tiger Woods win a tournament.
That's
Which
crazy.
you watch him on TV, don't you? Right?
Was it just you and him?
No, it was me, him, and Peter Hansen.
Wow.
So, yeah, just a magic day, really.
And you shot 200, didn't you? You shot 70 to win it.
Yeah, I think so. Was it 200 or 100? Forget.
It was a 70, whatever that is, the par.
I think that's 200, yeah.
So you should go on.
But I was going to say, that obviously, not only are you with Tiger Woods, I'm guessing you're the final group, and you've got was you the final group? Sorry,
yeah.
You've got all these people obviously flocking around because it's Tiger Woods. Did that feel different? I'm guessing that was one of the biggest crowds that you've ever been followed by, or up there, if not.
Or was it not super big because it was in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I don't know the numbers on the crowd, to be honest. I never played in front of a lot of people. When I played with Shane, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then when I've played the Open a few times, there's a lot of people there. They're not following you particularly.
There's just a lot of people watching.
I never coped really well with... I didn't mind people. It was cameras I didn't like so much. And maybe a bit of background noise that was random. I didn't like that.
I'm the other way. I quite like cameras, but I don't like people. I don't mind cameras watching me. It's real life people I can't comprehend.
The cameras, because when I used to play, obviously I was not your main draw for the tournament. So if the cameras came to watch me, they would generally come in the middle of a round because I was doing all right.
Okay.
And it always upset my balance and pre-shot routine at that point.
Yeah, because it wasn't consistent.
Sometimes I was okay if they started with me on a Saturday or a Sunday because I've played my way into that sort of position, but that didn't happen very often. So I never really got completely comfortable with that.
You didn't have enough chances, particularly to play in front of cameras like that on a consistent basis.
I did have chances, but I didn't play well enough,
right,
to get myself in that position, and I probably didn't do enough about it to get better at it. Since through coaching and stuff, I've met people that are sort of more famous in their own right, and we've talked a bit about it, and it's interesting to find out that they've had similar sort of experiences, but had to face it earlier on because it was a daily part of what they do. So
say Rory.
Yeah,
it'd be weird if he didn't have cameras following him.
Yeah,
he'd be thinking, "What have I done?
Yeah,
like, why is there not 15 cameras following me?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Back to the Tiger though thing as well. I'm guessing. I think he's a couple of years older than you, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when he won the Masters at 21, that would have been the same time you're at the range beating balls. You would have been fully aware of Tiger for more.
I watched him in the evenings when I finished my shift at the first golf club I worked at. When I was probably sometimes doing a little shift in the bar, or you'd done the coaching night and you go back up into the bar with the members.
Yeah.
He's on the TV winning PGA Tour events.
And then to now be playing with him, beating him in the final round of a DP
weird.
World Tour event. That is crazy.
What did that do to your mentality? From that point, is that normally January 2000?
Yeah.
January the tour
I haven't
event?
hit a decent shot since.
Don't need to.
David Howe said something really funny to me. The week after in Dubai, everyone's coming over and saying, well done, which was great. And then he came over and said, be careful, I did that once. It's like, right. Don't know what he means, but I'm going to find out.
Yeah, and you found out.
Dead right, yeah, dead right. Because it's just an unbelievable overachievement, isn't it? And you just think, wow, what did I do to deserve that? Right? Because the timing of it has to be so precise and lucky that because he doesn't Tiger doesn't play in Europe, right?
No.
Doesn't. Probably never will do ever again. He
Part of the Open, but
plays the majors, right?
Yeah.
You don't get drawn with Tiger in a major unless you're playing your way into that on the weekend, which takes some doing, right? Because he's probably winning it. So the opportunities for European Tour players to play with Tiger Woods are pretty much zero. In
a final round of one of a flagship event.
Bear in mind that tournament I didn't like. Right, so
to be honest, I remember Tommy Fleetwood saying this before he won it.
I thought that tournament was so far out of my depth, it was unbelievable, because they used to pay so many people to come and play that, right? It's a relatively low prize fund event, right? But they shelled out big time to get
appearance fees,
to get Tiger, Rory, Dustin Johnson, whoever, and they generally did all right and nearly won it. I remember Martin Kamer, Paul Casey setting scoring targets of like 20 odd under par, right, for the previous years. I thought, I'm not going to get anywhere near that around this course, right? I'm just not, right? I don't putt well enough. And I think the best finish I had was 40th at 8 under par, right, which was good.
Yeah,
I thought that's it,
because they're big undulating greens. What you don't like?
Yeah, this is exactly what I don't like. Right, I'm going to have loads of fast breaking putts, long putts, lots of chipping out of thick rough, which I didn't like either.
Yeah.
So it just seemed a tournament like Dubai Desert Classic a few weeks later. Loved that tournament. I always felt like I'd do okay in that.
Greens are a little bit flatter
and smaller.
Yeah.
Bit more precise tee to green, I felt. And I sort of just got the course a bit more. Just, I mean, you have that, don't you? But
I remember when, what was the year you remember better than me, when you were over there and
17.
2017, I had an opportunity to
go and Tommy won.
Caddy for Tommy Fleetwood on the back nine, and I ended up I ended up walking around with him, and he said, I've really struggled around this golf course, and I missed the last 3 or 4 cuts at that venue or something like that. He goes on and wins 2017.
Right,
he backs it up in 2018, and he's done really well ever since at that tournament. It's like sometimes you just need that. You might have had a terrible run at a golf course, and suddenly you can go out and win it. Didn't Victor Hovland say it this year at Jack's Place? It's got a. God, I can't think what his golf course is called now. It's got the same name as another famous golf course.
Muirfield Village, yeah.
So he never liked that golf course.
Yeah.
And he went out and won it there this year. Like sometimes it doesn't always, a golf course that you don't like or doesn't suit your eye, sometimes you can actually perform well around it, can't you?
Yes, yeah. And that was a lesson learned, really, that just because you haven't particularly played well there before doesn't mean you can't. And that year, the greens were firmer. So it was less of a low-scoring event. I think I won at 12 or 13 under par. Which, bear in mind, I was 40th at 8 under in my best finish before. It shows you what the course was normally played like. It was normally just tore to pieces, but that particular year, they made an effort to make it firmer. Just suited how I was playing. I played really well the week before in South Africa and came there just quite content with my game, but sort of writing the week off a little bit. I was having a little bit of a holiday week, right? So didn't have a practice round.
Wow.
Did a bit of great practice facilities at that club.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Love practices. I practiced there quite a bit. Didn't really go out and play a practice round because I wasn't really that fussed. I was looking forward to Qatar and Dubai.
Oh my
and
God.
I just had I'd had a top 10 in at Fancourt the week before, and I thought my game's in decent shape. Let's not let this week beat me up too much because I want to play well the next 2 weeks.
Almost damage limitation.
Yeah.
But for someone like yourself then that came from like a humble background and kind of hard work, it feels like kind of working class story, when you were winning these big checks then, did you kind of think, right, I'm here, I'm going to enjoy myself, or were you very reserved thinking this is big money, need to be sensible with it?
I never spent hardly any of it.
Really?
I mean, I may have had a couple of nights out and maybe...
Did you ever treat yourself to anything like random where you thought, right, I want to buy that watch, or I'm going to treat myself to that?
This watch I got on now, I got this, given this for winning that tournament.
There you go.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, the Abu Dhabi tournament?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't wear it up until... I wore it to start with, and then I thought... I was wearing it to do gardening and stuff as well.
That's a flex, isn't it?
Right.
Oh, this watch want to beat Tiger.
I just kept scratching it at the back, and I thought, right, I don't like it. I got it serviced and polished up, and I thought, I'm just going to leave it now and leave it in the safe at home, and maybe give it to my lad when he's older. And then, because it's just quite shiny, and I just didn't like wearing it. So then I just bought a blue strap for it. I thought, I quite like wearing it now.
Should have brought a red strap. Just to remind you that you bought Tiger.
So even at the younger age, though, when you were like, you said you were 32 when you beat, but you came, obviously got the money for winning, second place when Shane Lowry won. You never really splashed out.
No. I bought a house shortly after that. There was one that I got my eye on that was out of my price bracket, and just as life sort of tends to give you something sometimes, and won that money. I thought, right, it's now or never to buy a decent house, so I just did that.
Have you ever, Tiger ever spoke to you since?
Yeah. I haven't seen him much, of course, but when he came to play in Dubai a few times, he would always have a few little remarks about my hair. And sometimes he's come and...
Jealousy?
Yeah. And then sometimes he's come and stood behind me while I've been hitting balls and saying, come on then, let's see the high draw, knowing that I beat him with a low fade, right? And he knows that I haven't really got that one in the bag that often. So that was his little dig back, I think. But yeah, he's been cool with me.
That's so cool.
That's
really good.
Speaking of your hair,
probably respect you.
Well, I'm sure you will. Something that obviously I'm sure you've been answered a million times. How come you didn't wear a hat very often? Just was it a sponsorship thing, or
didn't like how they fitted. I had a lot of hair.
Flex
when I was 20 odd years old, and it felt my hair's thick, right? So when I wore a hat, I just didn't like it. It felt like I was wearing
a bubble out.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and it just felt itchy and uncomfortable. But I just didn't like. I didn't like being told what to do every day.
Did that turn sponsors away then, into some degree?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No real club deals because of it.
Really?
So that must have been hard at the early career then, when you needed kind of every penny.
Titleist were always great. Well, you got paid for using the Titleist ball and wearing FootJoy shoes, right? Which I would have done anyway, right? But they pay you for that, which is awesome. And then sometimes early on, Callaway and TaylorMade were doing driver only deals, which a lot of players were on, as well as their other main club deal. But the main club deal, where you're having your tour bag and the hat, that was something I sort of passed up on.
The hat's such an optimum real estate, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you did a visor for a while.
Did a visor at the end, which as I got older, I couldn't handle the heat quite as much.
Right.
So I would actually get close to getting sunstroke being out there all day.
Without a hat on, without sun protection on. And then you did a flat cap for a while as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I would like to wear a flat cap when the weather was bad, because you have to wear some sort, don't you? And then I did wear a sort of logoed flat cap for maybe a season or part of a season. Didn't really like wearing that, but the guy that offered me that, he was cool. So just wear it whenever you feel like wearing it.
How much do you reckon you lost out on not wearing a hat?
God knows.
I like it. I think it's a good USP. That's all.
I think so. What
I don't know.
Technically, was it 18 years actually on tour?
Yeah.
Because you said you missed 2004.
No, I played 2004.
Did you say you lost your card in 1 year?
Yeah, I lost it, but I got it back in some form. So I played pretty much
19 years.
Probably 20 years I played fully.
And what do you reckon a hat deal would be worth a year? 50? 60?
It probably averaged out, with early years being less than 50, but probably more so when I was playing better, so probably 50 a year. So
but just think though, if you were against Tiger, you didn't feel quite comfortable in your cap, like, it's itchy, I don't like this, then you miss a putt,
you'd have had a smooth extra million in the bank for wearing a hat.
Money can't beat beating Tiger Woods.
What's fascinating about your story and why I've genuinely been loving chatting to you, Robert, it's been so interesting hearing the kind of more backstory. One of the things, obviously, you mentioned being a PGA coach, PGA Golf Pro. That's how you kind of first started. And as later on in your career, it's obviously famous that you started to also pick up a few clients on tour. While you were still playing, you actually then started to coach a few players on tour, such as, if I'm not wrong, Matt Wallace, Thomas Bjorn, Oliver Wilson, Amy Bolden. Am I right in saying that? Did you pick up a few of the female pros as well? Kind of, how did that all start, and what happened there? It
probably started because I was always on the driving range with my camera or iPad and the tripod behind me, just practicing my own thing.
Coaching yourself.
Coaching myself, yeah, right. Not having coaches around me, just doing my own thing. Sometimes people were interested in what I was doing. Sometimes they were just wanting to borrow the camera, right, and just say, can you film this? Or, but eventually, at the start, people thought I was probably a little bit loopy doing it, but that was how I'd always practiced. Taking it out on, I didn't like doing that in the end at tournaments, videoing my swing on a Tuesday on a busy range.
They feel a bit cluttered or a bit hard work.
Yes, and with the constant, like you always get questions about what are you doing, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why don't you just do this?
You'd probably get that off players.
Yeah.
Caddies.
Caddies.
Other coaches.
Yeah. So it
club manufacturer people wandering around.
They're always getting away, right? Because you have this little, like when you're practicing, there's a group of people that want to be in there, and I'm trying to video.
Do you
people
hate
always
the people
working,
in the practice ground?
Yeah.
I've stuck on quite a few times.
It can get annoying.
I get it. Yeah, I can imagine.
I like to just practice on my own.
If there was an option to go to the other end of the driving range at a tour event, would you be down there?
Probably. Quite often my caddy would go and do his work on the course because I didn't like him just standing there watching me practice. Sorry. I didn't like people watching me practice because sometimes when I'm practicing, I'm just doing weird stuff because I'm trying to come up with something, trying to figure something out. And that means sometimes I'm going to fat a few iron shots. I might thin them, I might shank them, I might even fresh air a couple of shots, right? And that's embarrassing at a tour event, but I had to do it sometimes. So I think that led on to a couple of people just seeing that I'd gone through all that process and actually come out the other side actually playing all right and my swing being okay. And then probably my first, I did a bit of work with some lady pros that had just started that I'd met before, and they were just turning pro, Amy and Kelsey.
Kelsey McDonald, is that?
Yeah. The lady pros at the LET in that particular time. Right. It's a tough school, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. They're not playing for a lot of money, don't have coaches on their tour. Don't really get a lot of help. So I thought I could help.
Yeah.
Thought I could help them start their pro careers, maybe learn a little bit from my mistakes. And then that
mentoring.
Yeah. More than they were already good players because they got themselves on the tour. But then my first actual decent bit of coaching I felt with a tour player was with Ollie Wilson at the Dunhill Links.
Yeah, because didn't he go on and win it?
He won it. Yeah, it was that was an introduction to how sort of real champion golfers can turn themselves around. Because I'd got at the time Ollie's old caddy, Richie Hill. Ollie was on Challenge Tour. Richie was caddying for me. Always interested in how Ollie was getting on because I knew he'd struggled and lost his card. And then Richie was like, you need to have a look at Ollie, see if you can help him out. So just tell him the offer's always there. I know he'd already got his coaches at the time. I said, but if you ever get stuck, just get him, give me a shout. And then the one tournament, he was in Kazakhstan, and he'd played, I forget whether he'd already played the first round. I think he'd already played the first round. And he sent me a swing. So I was trying to be quite professional, right? It's my first gig for the proper tour pro. So I've emailed in this, probably a 3 or 4 page email with little swing clips and little examples of what I think he needs to do. And I've emailed it to him, I wonder where I think I might have been. I think I was at Celtic Manor and he's in Kazakhstan. And I've just emailed it to him, not really considering the time difference. I just sent it to him and I thought he'll read it when he gets home. And then in the morning, I've looked at the scoreboard and he shot 10 under par, right? I'm like, I better delete that.
Yeah, because you think he's not ready yet.
I think he's not ready and I think he's just playing good. I don't want to read that now. He's going to mess up what he's doing, right? So I went into my email, so it's already gone. So I texted him, I was like, mate, if you haven't read it, don't read it until you get back. just enjoy your week, crack on. He's gone, no, I read it this morning, had a little think, did a few practice swings, and then hold my second shot on the first hole.
Oh my days.
And he just ran with it, right? And then we did like another couple of weeks build up to the Dunhill Links where he came to me and we practiced quite a bit. And then at the tournament, we played practice rounds together. Talked through a lot of tee shots because he was struggling with his driver at the time. And then he won the tournament. Unbelievable.
Didn't he shoot like course record at Carnoustie or something?
He shot a course record at Carnoustie on the first round. And I think I was at St Andrews and I looked up and there's Wilson at the top. I'm like, what are the Wilsons playing here this week? I thought, no chance. No chance he'd done that. And shot course record and then battled it all the way to the end. And then it might have been against Tommy Fleetwood, actually. But anyway, it was on the last hole and somebody had to hole a putt to tie and they didn't. And yeah, I was sort of listening to text coverage of that as I'm driving back down the M6 because I didn't want to wait and curse him or anything. Yeah, magic feeling that was.
That's crazy.
Was that obviously it's not, I'm guessing it's not comparable to you winning, but I'm guessing that gave you a hell of a feeling.
Oh, one of the best buzzies I've had from coaching. It was good coaching Matt Wallace as well, but that was such a turnaround. And looking back, I mean, I didn't do that much, right? I just gave him a few things, but he took what he wanted out of that and ran with it, right? And won a tournament.
And is there any similarities of information you're giving to tour pros? Have you noticed a common trend? Because these guys can all play.
Yeah.
Is there something that's like that you can go, there is, every single one of them does X, not quite as good as they should do, and maybe not even technique. It might even just be a mindset or a visualization, or every single one of them different.
No, because we're all a similar type of sort of weird golf pro. But Ollie was just trying to find something that gave him some feel of control off the tee, right? Because the rest of his game, it probably helped his iron play a little bit, but the rest of his game was already there, right? Magic short game, brilliant putter, and he just lost the enthusiasm for battling so hard for the pitching and putting when you're not building a score. So that was already there for him. It was just nudging him into a playable direction off the tee where he could do all the stuff that he knew he was already good at, but it was kind of pointless where he was at. Because if you're hitting loads of sort of provisional balls or you're playing out the rough, right, you're chipping and putting for bogeys and you're not building a score, right? No. So you're not competing. So that after a certain number of months or years, that score building just kind of evaporates a little bit because you're not enthusiastic about the score that you're going to grind out because it's going to be no use to you. If you're grinding out 3 over par, you're going home.
Just still dropped again.
Yeah,
Matt, can we just sort?
I do. I don't notice it falling.
I'm just noticing like the mic starts there.
And then when I worked with Matt Wallace, we were building something new because he was a new pro. And that was more intriguing because he hadn't got to his sort of best performance yet, whereas Ollie had played Ryder Cup. Yeah. So Ollie was trying to find something that he knew he'd already got. Matt was trying to see what he could get to.
Bit more mentoring again.
Yes, but I could already see that he was really good, but he just hadn't got there yet. And he was probably already he was on the path to getting to probably where he got with or without my help. But if I could nudge him there a little bit faster, then that was what my plan was for that.
What's really interesting, I mean, I've recently, I think you've played some practice rounds with him. He was on tour, James Robinson.
Yeah.
Called.
Yeah.
So James is a golf coach now, and he's been on the channel a few times, and he's actually started to coach me now.
Yeah.
Over the last kind of 3 or 4 months, he's been giving me lots of advice. I send him swing videos. Yeah. He's been really, really useful for me. Like, just, you know what I like about it? And whether this is your style of coaching, it's almost this blunt kind of like reality check sometimes. It's like, it's quite like factual with it. It's just like, well, why not shooting it a bit more? It's like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't. It's like done in a nice way, but it's like, you know, a bit of a tough love sometimes, which I actually really like. Maybe even going back to the point where the pro you worked under said, well, why are you not shooting under par all these times? It's like, almost guilting you into it. And I feel like with James, it's like, yeah, maybe I do need to work on that a little bit more. It's like, all right, we'll do it then. Not in an aggressive manner, but just in like a...
We need reminding sometimes.
Yeah,
because
in just like a bit of a pressure. Just like, come on then.
Golf pros, we think we're good at stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you need to go, hang on a minute, that isn't really as good as it should be.
Yeah.
Right? It wouldn't take much for you to do it, but you actually got to have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
And risk maybe messing it up a little bit.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying kind of that, having that kind of coaching off a former tour pro, because he's been there.
Yeah,
obviously, he didn't have the great player.
Good player.
Struggled on tour and then decided to go off tour because of life situations, having family and everything else. But like, it is quite interesting now when you see him. It's like he's like, no, come on, let's do this now. And he's passionate about me playing well, which is good. I feel excited about it. At the moment, then, who's on your books then, coaching wise? Who's kind of your players? Have you still got players on the books from a tour level that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah. I'm working with Ollie Wilson still, but we did have a gap from then to now. We started back at the Belfry this year. And I had a similar thing at the Belfry, right? From not working together for a long time, and then he approached me again, and I started to think about what I wanted to do this time, and it was similar to the last time, so I was quite pleased about that. I hadn't really changed my theories on the game too much, but I think I'd got a better way of doing it this time. And he finished second first week out again. Right, so that's him, right? That's not me, right? He just needs... I thought, he's done it again, right? It's brilliant working with him, but also after that, it sort of tails off a little bit because he
likes that bit of boost of injection.
He's now back to where he wanted to be again, competing, but not... I think maybe we'd need Ollie here to actually back me up on this, but I think when he's really open to something new, he gives it 100%.
Yeah.
And then because in the tour pro life, all we want to be is actually competing. Once you've got something that puts you back in that place competing, you're less open to the same level of punt on something, like trying the same intensity.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like, you work out or you eat better before a holiday.
Yeah.
You want to look good on that first day at the holiday. Yeah. As soon as you're on holiday, you're stuffing your face at the buffet, and it all kind of gets forgotten out the window. So sometimes you need that, that's where I need to get to. There's an urgency to get there. Yeah. But actually when you get there again, it's not that it falls off, but it's like, okay, I'm back again now.
He's back there.
I don't need to worry as much now.
Yeah, and we all think sometimes when our game drops off a little bit, is this it? Right, is it gone forever again? And then when it comes back, you're like, okay, it's all right again.
It's not gone. So Ollie Wilson
and Steve Brown. Steve's at Tour School at the moment, actually, playing this morning. I do a tiny little bit with Tom Lewis. I was working with Georgia Hall, but not anymore. It's been difficult actually keeping that going because
you're not on tour as much.
There. It's so easy when I'm there. Yeah. Right? It's so easy to do when I'm there, but.
Was it almost distractingly easy, or was it? Yeah,
because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it as a bringing something new to the tournament week that I got so used to doing.
Of course,
with so much spare time, because I used to organise my tournament week different to most. I would practice really hard at home and go there what I thought was ready to play.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be doing as many practice rounds and I wouldn't be hitting as many balls as I used to, because I liked to try and sort of keep a bit of energy spare, which then opened up more of the week for me to do the coaching.
Yeah, great.
Rather than just sit in my
hotel room or whatever.
Which is boring.
Of course it is.
So I did enjoy doing that, and it was quite hard to say no when you've got your people, like your pros there that you admire and you respect every one of them on the tour because they're all amazing. And then if somebody asks you for a bit of help, it's hard to say no to that.
2002, October 2002.
Yeah.
That's when you officially hung the boots up, weren't it? Hung the gloves up, hung the clubs up.
2022.
2020. Why, I keep getting my dates wrong.
I do that sometimes.
2022.
Yeah.
You retired, right?
Yes, and retirement's a weird thing because I've actually been really busy this past year, which is why it's took me so long to reply.
But did you know going into 2022 that was going to be your final year?
Yeah, I'd made my mind up because the previous 3 years, including the COVID sort of years, which were a bit naff, right? Even though that first 3-month break that we had, that really helped because I was nearly at the point where I thought I've done enough now. I think I had a couple of injuries, nothing bad, but my wrist was really hurting and my back was really hurting. So practice was difficult. And I've always been somebody that obviously practiced a lot to feel ready to go to the tournaments. So that 3 month gave me a little bit of a break. My wrist healed in that time, which was awesome. So then I played that first year of COVID and I played really good and I was really happy with that. But then the second year of COVID, I just hated to travel. It just got so tedious.
Yeah, all the testing.
Yeah, it was just
God, I couldn't do it.
arse. Yeah, going to East Midlands Airport like 2 or 3 times a week for the testing, and then testing on site when you get to tournaments, and then testing to leave. And just the job lost all its cool parts.
There was no crowd there, or a bit flat, I guess.
I actually think that the tour is worse off since that. All the good bits of the tour that made the job amazing, they all just went. Like your courtesy cars, that service went. All the nice little trimmings that used to make you think like you're at something special, they all disappeared.
And never came back?
Never came back, no. Never came back. Because once you got rid of that sort of surplus expense and you know you can function without it.
Yeah.
It's hard to then,
why would you put that back, right?
Yeah, that's very true. So getting towards the end of 2022, were you sad? Were you emotional?
No, I got my head around it. I knew I was pushing my luck anyway because I was only playing 15 tournaments a year.
I mean, you'd probably say for your own, you were like pushing your luck for 20 odd years because you never, you know what I mean?
And I'm 46. There are not many 40 plus year old players.
And you've got a boy, haven't you?
My son's 15 and he's playing a lot of football. And the reason, the main reason why is so that I can be there and drive him to football.
Did you feel like you missed his younger years?
Yes. Yeah, I missed from up till maybe 4 years ago. I was still playing a pretty full schedule, so I missed a lot of that. But as soon as he got a real interest in football, any sport requires parents to be at home and take them, doesn't it? Right. So, and it just felt too selfish of me to say, I've done my job for 20 years, but you can't do what you like, so I want to go off and do what I want to do still, right? And I remember Mick O'Illan retiring, and he said, I've been really selfish for a long time. It's time to re-establish a bit of balance. And I thought that was bang on.
Well, as a tour pro, you have to be selfish.
You've got to be to make it work. Unless you're unbelievably good at golf, right? And you can manage to
pick and choose 12 events a year.
But even saying that, even if you're unbelievably good at golf, you still have to be selfish to make sure it works.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, the obviously, let's say you're right. Let's say Tiger or Rory or one of these guys who can be picky and choosy. They're going to play in 4 majors per year. They're going to play in Ryder Cup every other year. They're going to play in 5 or 6 other events per year. They've also got commercial entities. They've also got service days they've got to provide for sponsors. They've then got to do opening of golf venues or the foundation or whatever. The time, as much as it might not be on tour 40 odd weeks a year, still a long way, a lot of commitment outside of those hours as well.
And I can imagine those things are more interesting to them than turning up at a pretty nondescript tournament that doesn't make any difference to them whether they win it or not.
No.
It might do to the tournament having Tiger or Rory win it, but Tiger doesn't remember half of his 80 odd wins, does he?
No.
Doesn't care about them. It's all about majors for him.
Exactly.
I'm sure it is for Rory. So if you've got something you've created yourself, you've probably got more enthusiasm for that than somebody else's tournament.
Was there anything, when you look back on your tour, was there anything that you kind of regret not having the opportunity to do? Was there anything that you gone, God, I wish could have done this. I wish I could have achieved that. Thankfully, I don't look back wishing I could have tried harder. Well, that's a great answer
to that. That kills any doubts for me. That I promise you, putting just still drives me insane, right? But there probably wasn't a day that I didn't think about it and try and do something about it.
Yeah.
But I just failed. But it's fine.
Like, for example, you know, just looking, like, you'd never got the chance to play in the Masters.
I got to 54th in the world ranking, which was after I played in Abu Dhabi with Tiger. Yeah, I got to 54, and I think 51 got in that year. I remember going to Morocco, needing to come in the, I think, top 3 to actually get in. And I made it was a 10 or a 13 on my 4th hole.
Oh,
Right.
There's those chances
The
gone.
Masters gone there, yeah. I went to the Masters with Matt Wallace, which was sort of a nice experience.
You were coaching him there.
Yeah, but it's not a coaching venue, right? It's not. It's a player and caddy venue, and that's it.
Yeah, they don't want too many other people there, do they? Really?
I got kicked out the first day I was there, which was after 20 years, right, of trying to play your way into the Masters. And the first time I get there, I got kicked out.
For what? You allowed to say?
Yeah. We went in as a group down the drive, and Matt had gone in early, right? He'd gone in early to play a practice round with Nick Faldo.
Yeah.
And they were doing the Sky Sports down
When was
Magnolia.
this? Last year or?
No, this was 18 or 19.
Oh, so a few years back.
Yeah. Was it? I forget what year.
Pre-COVID.
No, Tiger's year. The year Tiger won.
19.
19.
Right. So they go in, and then his manager Graham says, "Oh, we'll go in later." So that doesn't sound like it's going to work to me, mate. He's got the passes. He's going, "No, it'll be all right. We'll get in and we'll get him off him." So I'm like, oh, "Okay." So we get down I didn't think we'd get down the drive. We got down the drive, parked the car up, and we get out. Thought
That was
all
easy.
right. It'd be all right. Yeah, it was way easier than I thought. And course is over there, so I thought we'll just nip out, catch him on the course, get the passes. We'll be fine. So I stepped 1 foot. Actually, I don't even got 1 foot on the grass. All the green jacket brigade, right? And one of them was actually all right. He's, "Hello, Robert." So he knew who I was. I thought,
Oh, here we go.
sound here.
Brilliant.
All right. He's gone, "Where's your pass?" I've gone, "Oh, it's with Matt Wallace. He's out on the course already. We're going to go out and just get him off him." "Oh, no." He says, "Oh, no, we've got a problem." I've gone, "What do you mean?"
Was he American?
He was, yeah. He says, "You can't do that." I said, "But you know Matt's on the course, don't you?" He goes, Yeah. He's with Nick Faldo, right? They're playing. He's just got him in his golf bag. Can you radio to him or something?" "Oh, no. So they took us to little...
Like a security hut or something?
Yeah, right. And fella was like, "So what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm Matt Wallace's coach. He's on the course and he's beat us out there." "Oh, no. Okay. Please leave now." Was it?
What the heck?
Please leave now. Got kicked out the back gate and had to walk it back to the hotel.
Wow.
And the funny part, which I've got a picture of, which I should show you, but me and Liam are walking around the back of the course towards where we thought this house was, and we're passing this stream, and I'm like, I think that's Ray's Creek. Right, and there was a shopping trolley stuck in it, right?
Oh,
So that
my
was
goodness.
that was my first.
So did you get in the next day then?
Got
or
in
when
the next day, yeah. But
Crikey.
but you're not allowed your phone in with you as a
No.
coach, right? So you've got to just sit on the grandstand at the back of the range and just wait.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
So you-
Matt can't contact me. So I've just got to sit and wait for him to wave me onto the range.
But you
I
can't
don't-
really even take your phone to do videos or anything.
No.
Wow.
So I had to use Matt's. I forget how we did. I think I must have had to use Matt's.
They have a tag on the back or something.
Yeah, but I don't think I did. I think I was just. I tend to not use camera too much these days,
Yeah.
anyway. But yeah, that was an odd start. But
Oh
it was
my goodness.
it was a frustrating tournament to be at as a golf coach and a golf pro. And I watched him go down. Actually, sneaked onto the putting green on the 10th, which was brilliant because it was just him, Matt, and his caddy, and Tiger and Joe and his mate Rob on the putting green. And I went on, right, and just had a little chat with his mate Rob and watched Matt just hit a couple of putts. and then he went on to the 10th, and Matt and Dave just went down the 10th on their own, and you just go at totally different angles. You go way right at the trees, miles away from the fairway, so you're probably, I don't know, must have been 50, 60 yards, and just watched him walk down to the 10th green. I thought, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Because no one else there. It was just them two. No.
There's isolated spots on that golf course.
It was
like
mega
13
moment.
Is so isolated.
Yeah.
You're just down there. It's like
They're just on their own, right?
Yeah.
There was no scorers. There was no hangers on.
No,
No nothing. They were just him, player and caddy, going down the 10th hole, and I thought that's magic.
Yeah. At other events, I'm sure you've at the Open or other, like there's so many people inside the ropes.
Yeah,
it's like you can't. The Ryder Cup was the worst. I went to the Ryder Cup this year. Honestly, I'm no exaggeration. Sometimes each match I had like 100 players inside the or 100 people, inside the ropes. Like, what are you all doing?
Yeah, you weren't there at the last tournament, but
when we chucked it down and wherever. And then going back to this question, what is next? What is next for Robert Rock?
It's been this year's been it's been an experiment really. I played 4 little tournaments.
You won one, didn't you?
I won a British Par 3 Championship. Yeah, totally out of the blue.
Did you win one at Birkdale or something?
Won one at Birkdale. Yeah, I shot 400 at Birkdale, which was quite nice.
Nice.
I won a pairs event with Ben Barham. We entered the PGA Club Pros, right?
Did you?
The PGA
Sunningdales.
PGA 4 ball.
Didn't you hole out from the fairway to win the hole?
Sorry, yeah. Well, I played that with Sam Walker, and I holed a 9-iron to win the match,
Oh,
and
days.
then it got snowed off. But that's a great event, right?
I've never played it.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, you should.
Never played Sunningdale. I need to play Sunningdale.
You never played
No.
Sunningdale?
I don't. There's this list of top 100 courses.
You need to play Sunningdale.
UK
is
and
amazing.
UK and Ireland that came out yesterday. It's not got a lot of the exclusive golf courses.
It's the ones that you have to pay to. You have to be able to go as a visitor, don't you? I think.
So it's not got like Wentworth on and stuff like that. I've played out the 135.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I was somewhat happy, but also disappointed. I was like, God, there's so many I've not played.
Where's next on the list then? For you?
Well, I'm off to Turkey this week, but a few courses I've already played.
Yeah.
Then over to America for a little while, filming with some tour pros, which I'm excited about, and then heading to Dubai. And then maybe even playing Abu Dhabi, your golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Have you not played that yet?
I have.
You have, yeah.
I've also played, I really like it, the night golf course there as well.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's a nice little fun course. But next on that list, I really, 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 that next year want to play Royal County Down.
Oh, okay.
That's one that's
cool.
so far up there.
Yeah.
I really want to play Adair Manor.
Yes.
I think just an island trip.
Yeah.
Royal County Down, Adair Manor, and Old Head.
Yeah.
Like those ones.
Isn't
you look at them.
Ballybunion meant to be class as well?
Ballybunion, yeah.
I haven't played that. I played the old version of Adair Manor.
Right, yeah. When the Irish Open was there.
Yeah, also great.
When Richard Finch won it and fell in the water.
It looks a completely
insane,
different place.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks unreal. It looks the closest to Augusta that Europe has, really.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. You've obviously, so you're still playing a little bit.
Playing a little bit. Yeah, I want to keep playing well. I want to keep my
Back in the
standard of
pro-ams
golf
with your 6 mates again.
I will do some pro-ams, yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't mind those. And I'd like to do some, but funny, like the lower levels of pro golf are in a bit of a mess at the moment.
Well, it is.
Well, all the pro golf's in a mess, to be honest,
you look,
isn't it?
you
right?
look at what's come
shambles.
out with like European Tour, DP World Tour.
Yeah.
It's just a feeder tour for the PGA now. It's like crazy.
I used to be so proud to say I was a European Tour member. I don't think I ever called myself a DP World player.
No.
I just didn't like the sound of it. It wasn't what I aspired to, and it's not really. But like the Euro Pro Tour's finished.
Yeah.
Right, that was a real lifeline for a lot of pros. If that was still around, I would have probably played a couple of those this year because I can see myself having time to do those and just drive to them and play. So I'm trying to wait to see what comes out. Like this year, I didn't push myself to play much because I was driving a lot for David's football, and I've really enjoyed watching that. And I'm trying to learn football trying to learn it at 47. It's hard, right? I avoided it all my life, and now I'm trying to learn it, which is difficult.
Is he bothered about golf?
No, broke my heart to start with, but he's putting the same effort into football that that I did to golf, so I'm just happy to watch.
Is he at a decent enough standard?
Yeah, he's at Chesterfield Football Club's academy.
Oh, nice.
And they've been great. He's been there for 3 years. Chesterfield are doing pretty good actually in their league at the moment. They're I think they're unbeaten so far this year, and they're top of the league. So if they move up into the football league, that sort of elevates David's academy position into a football league academy, which would be cool.
A bit more funding, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and that's a big part of football. Isn't
Of course it is. Well, it's like, when you look at the money in golf, you look at the money in football, now you look at the money in any sports. Like, I do slightly worry that the top of the tree is very, very, very much being rewarded.
Yeah.
Where is it being filtered down enough to grassroots level? I'm not sure if it is. Now, you're doing something really good with your Robert Rock Junior Tour.
Yes, that's thank you. That's gone amazingly well. We started that in 2017. So Natalie Haywood, who's a lady golf pro in Derby, she's now the head pro at Rotherham Golf Club, actually.
Right.
But she, through her brother's a caddy, used to caddy for Danny Willett. So she asked me if she could do a junior event for me back in 2017, and I always wanted to do that, but just the amount of practice I was doing, just enough time, right? Because it's doing those type of things take a lot of time to do properly. So she went from doing one event to now we've got, last year we had 26 events, a few international events. We mixed with the Faldo series a bit last year.
Brilliant.
So it's gone exceptionally well, yeah. And we just announced next year's schedule. We've got some really good support from the friends I've made in equipment companies with Callaway, Ping, Titleist. They've all sort of chipped in and helped out.
Oh, excellent.
And then the places I've been to have all been pretty accommodating. So I've been able to take the kids to some pretty cool golf courses.
And what's the age range? What's
anything? It's anything. We started from, I think last year our youngest was 6, but I think we've had 5-year-olds play all the way up to, we had 21, under 21 section as well.
And are these one-day events?
We started 1 days. We're now doing some 3-day world ranking events because I didn't realise that was what kids are after these days, right? They want world ranking points. My intention at the start was to try and bridge a bit of the gap from a driving range to competition without the need to join a club. So because I'd been the junior golf coach at a range where you'd have kids come every Saturday morning and them and their parents would see themselves as golfers, especially non-golfing families. Like I think if that would have been me back in the day, I would have been going to a driving range thinking I was a golfer. Yeah. And you need some avenue to go.
Pathways.
Yeah, this isn't golf. This is just a practice facility, right? Golf is on the actual course.
Yeah.
So we created a mini tour section of that where we just put the tees down the fairway at a sensible distance. So 5, 6, 7-year-olds that have just started could actually enter a competition, play with their mates, or play with similar standard and shoot a decent score. Yeah. And then they move up from that to red tees, 9 holes, Brilliant. 18 holes, all the way through. And now obviously we've extended to world ranking events, which are more for the serious lower handicappers and that. And we've kind of positioned ourselves now where we're the sort of entry part. You can move through it. And then when you get towards the top part, you're probably looking at playing in Faldo Series events anyway. And then we've co-branded a few. And
nice.
So
that's really
I'm pretty
exciting.
proud of that.
Really
exciting.
It's been
awesome, yeah.
I suppose it's something that probably listeners and viewers in the States get a lot of. Yes. Even like Charlie Woods, the tournament that he played in recently.
Loads of tours like that.
Yeah, that was all like short par 4s. They're not full holes, but it teaches them to shoot. Yeah. Or certainly someone like a Charlie Woods shooting the 60s because they're playing par 4s that are 250
was that course
yards
not
or whatever.
Like 7,000 yards?
Not the full course that he played.
Oh, was it not?
No, it was like a shortened version.
Oh, all right.
I think it's one of the problems having kids play golf so young now. And I noticed it quite early on doing these events that if you've got a 6 or 7-year-old playing a 9-hole course or an 18-hole course off reds, they've got to play for a long time before they can actually make a par. Right? Because they're going to need to hit 2 or 3 shots or even 4 shots to reach the hole. And have they got the patience to see that out until they're 10 or 12 before they actually make a decent score. So we tried to fudge that forward so that you'd have a par, right? But that isn't really done over here very much.
Do you know what it ties really nicely back into? The whole start of this story, that you were really good at snooker on the little table.
Yeah.
And as soon as you got to the big table, you found it too hard and you quit.
Yeah.
That's the same with golf. Golf is so sometimes so many kids love either driving range or pitch and putts or whatever.
Yeah.
Chuck them on a full 18-hole golf course. I remember the first time I played. I mean, I say I remember, but I was 11. But I was like, I don't know if I fully enjoyed my first round of golf. I kind of did it because I had to do it.
It must have been a slog.
It's a real slog.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
It's hard work as well.
Really is, so like even I took my kids to driving range this weekend and I had quite a lot of questions about, how are you getting them into it? My philosophy at the moment is take it away from them when they're having the most fun.
Yeah.
So I've been going to the driving range at the moment and just giving them a bay each, giving them 50 balls each, and they'll fly through those golf balls with no time at all. I'm not really giving them a great deal of instruction, just little pointers that if they listen to me, few little pointers using top tracer technology, the Go Fish game, etc. And they'll get through those 50 balls in 30 minutes. And you think that was quite a lot of money for 30 minutes. Yeah. But then you go, all right, kids, let's go.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, can I get more golf balls? I'm like, no, let's go now.
That's hard to do, isn't it?
Really hard, because they just want to hit more golf balls. But I know if I gave them another 50, they'd struggle. Of course they would. They'd after 20 more, they'd go, I'm done now, thanks. Do you know? Yeah. So I think that progression is so important in junior golf. Robert, that has been an incredible chat.
Very fun.
Thank you. No,
interesting. I love the backstory. Like I said, I'm sure bits of it you've covered before, but certainly our viewers and listeners would have loved listening to your story. Good luck with everything in the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think it's the last we'll see of you in tournament golf.
I think seniors tour.
Maybe.
Your son's at university, and you're thinking, you know what?
Do you fancy a bit of seniors tour?
Depends who's playing. Right,
depends who's paying.
Yeah, depends what if there is a European seniors tour at that point, right? We just don't know, do we? We don't know what's going to
start one. Rocky's tour, Rocky Seniors tour.
No, you need to keep too many pros happy. That's for sure. That's easy.
You're all right keeping the kids happy with the tournaments. Robert, you've been a pleasure. Everyone can check you out on social media. We'll put the links down below. Yeah. Can people have an actual lesson off you, or is that?
Yeah.
So people can actually come and have a lesson off you.
If you want to, you can,
If you're going to pay the big money. But come on, if you want a lesson off Robert as well, I'll put a link down in the description. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, and good luck with everything in the future.
Thank you both. Cheers.